What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the AM, guys. Welcome back to 5-Minute Rants. Hope you're doing well. Hope life is treating you good. So, the last couple episodes, I've really been talking about the market and the economy. I've been talking more about just what's happening within society, and I think there are several things to really understand with how society works. First, you have massive societal changes, right? And those are something that we're going through right now. If you look at it, that's very obvious with the market, with the tariffs. And I'm bringing this up because it really applies a lot to business. However, I want you to also see how these also break down from large, massive societal movements into individual pieces. So how does this apply to you? How does it affect you? So one of the things I really want to talk about is strategy. You've got to understand, let's just say, cool, the market goes down. People don't want to spend money the way they used to. They're afraid. Because here's the thing is when people get afraid, they don't want to spend money. When people do not feel fear, they tend to spend money. And that's how life works. When they feel good, they spend money. When they don't feel good and they're afraid, they don't spend money. And this is normal. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is you have to be tactical and strategic with how you're going to do things now. If the market continues to move down, what is your strategy to make people feel safe? Because all of it right now is about making people feel safe. How do you make them feel safe to buy from you? How do you make them feel safe? How do you actually help them move through the situation with where they're at? How do you partner with people? And a large part of what I'm talking about is really what is your strategy to move forward through changes? And this just applies generally in life. Life is going to change. It's not going to be the same, right? It's not going to be the same. The market's never going to stay the same. It ebbs and flows. A healthy market ebbs and flows. It goes down and it goes up. And honestly, you've got to be in it for the long haul. The only way to approach whatever's happening is a long-term mindset. So you got to have strategy to navigate what's currently happening today, but you also need to have vision for how you want life to be at the end of this. If you're in business, you need to look to see how you want life to be at the end of whatever's about to happen. You need a vision for what the business looks like, what the team looks like, what the offering looks like. You need all that vision to move forward through all of this. If you're not in business and you just have a job, cool. I would start not just keeping your eggs in a basket. Look at your industry. Look at how the tariffs in the market and the economy would affect that. Look at your position. And you know what? I would honestly put away a rainy day fund and then probably look and have other jobs in your back pocket. Why would you wait to be without a job before you start looking and applying? Who knows? You actually might find a job that pays you better. I'm all about being proactive, and I'm all about moving forward and being proactive before just waiting for stuff to happen and being like, oh no, what do I do now? I think it's much better to be prepared than it is to be caught standing out in the rain without an umbrella. Even though, cool, it's not that bad. You're just going to get wet. But I do think it's much better to be, prepared to actually have an umbrella for when it does rain. So that being said, that's how a lot of really moving forward is going to look like. What's the strategy? How do we prepare if we're unprepared? How do we shore up areas that are weak? What are the areas we don't need to worry about? And then how do we move forward? And here's the thing. Honestly, if you're in business, this is when marketing really counts, because you are now competing and going to compete for the people who do want to spend money, who are okay spending more money. And you're going to compete for those deals now at a higher level. And this is when marketing matters more than most. And this applies to you personally. You don't own a company, cool. It applies to you personally too. You got to market yourself. Like I said, go get that other job. Really put yourself out there. But the biggest point is this: strategy. Strategy is going to matter so much as you move through this. Strategy, how you're going to operate, how you're going to maneuver. And then also, what and how does this exactly affect you, both personally and as a whole within the company? So I think all of that being said is, if you just pause, take a deep breath, and I said this last 2 episodes too, and don't freak out about stuff, you're going to be okay. What really matters is how adaptable you are and how creative you are. And that's part of the strategy piece, really coming up with a plan for how you need to navigate and look at all the areas it's going to touch. Figure out how this is going to affect you, and then look at all the areas that it is going to touch, right? So for instance, cool, let's just say prices in eggs go up. I can't control prices in eggs, but what I can do is run my budget and run my personal budget and make sure that I'm budgeted well and make sure that we can actually afford what we need to afford and cut the things we don't. It just means getting lean, and there's nothing wrong with getting lean. A lot of things get healthy when you get lean. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.